Welcome to episode 264 of the All the Books Show, the official podcast of the David A. Howe Public Library. We talk book news, author news, and literary news. I'm Eric Mikols.
I'm Nic Gunning. How you doing today, man?
All right.
Listen,
I'm next to a real problem right now.
Oh, really? You got someone there with you? Please share.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I thought I was in like a really bad relationship.
Okay.
But then I read Twilight.
Oh.
And now I know I'm in a healthy relationship.
You learned what a
it's
really
just like Twilight.
You might want to.
Kendra Mikols is with me.
Hold on.
Hey, hello everybody.
Kendra, thanks for joining us once again on the All the Book Show.
Thanks for having me.
I remember good times we had together on the Nicholas Sparks episode, where I read Knights of Rodanthe. You joined us for the Leanne Moriarty episode.
Yeah.
You did a cameo not too long ago, trying to help Eric remember what you watched.
Oh, right.
So here's an official appearance for Kendra Mikols. Kendra is the co-host of 9021 Here We Go, and she's bringing her expertise of teen angst to talk about Stephanie Meyer's and the Twilight franchise.
It's not just teen angst anymore, Nick.
Oh, sometimes it's adult angst as well?
It's adult angst now
All
as
angst.
well.
Okay.
Everyone is angsty.
Kendra, would you call yourself a Twilight superfan?
I would say yes.
You're up there.
Especially at the moment.
You're up
for
there.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, because I know that you just read Midnight Sun. I don't want to get into it right now, but Kendra read the latest of the Stephanie Meyer Twilight books, and we thought that's an expertise we need to tap for the All the Books Show. We're going to be talking about Stephanie Meyer's and the Twilight franchise a little bit later, but right now, let's get into some bookmarks. Eric, I don't know about you, but we're recording pretty close to when we recorded the last episode, so I don't have a ton to add to our conversation here. I read some comic books, but other than that, I'm still reading Oath of Honor, the Jack Ryan book, and The Last Best Hope, a Star Trek Picard book. What about you? What do you got going on?
Boy, I've used most of my reading time to be doing other things right now. It's been a busy week of editing things together or driving around to different places. A lot of my at-home free time I've been using to rewatch the Dark Knight trilogy.
Wow.
Because the new Batman trailer came out. It's been since 2012 since I watched Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Batman Begins is my favorite. Dark Knight's probably the best. I have no time for Dark Knight Rises.
Understood.
No time.
Understood.
No time.
I've read the novelizations for both Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises. I had a good time with both of them. I guess someday I have to go back and read The Dark Knight. And here's a weird one for you. I have never read a novelization of the Michael Keaton Batman movies, nor have I read Batman Forever. And I only read the Batman and Robin novelization for an episode of Three Nice Things. Crazy, right?
That's surprising to me.
I know.
Before I watched the Dark Knight trilogy, though, I finally watched Joker. It wasn't my cup of tea.
Oh, okay.
Watch the Scorsese films as trying to ape instead, I would say.
Okay.
I could get very, mean about this movie.
I believe it.
But I won't.
Kendra, did you also watch The Joker?
I watched it a while ago.
I
watched it without him. Yeah, for the Oscars.
Did you have a similar feeling, or did you enjoy it?
I thought it was good. Okay. I mean, I understand his complaints, though.
Thank you.
He's truthful in what he says.
If he's making you say that, blink twice.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. She would never. I'm her own personal brand of heroin.
Yes.
So we're in a healthy relationship, just like Edward and Bella.
Just like in Twilight. Wow.
Though I will talk about, because I did go on a rant a while ago, and I don't know how much of that rant you edited down, Nick, on Terminator Dark Fate.
Yes. Probably a lot.
No,
anyway, it's there. It's there.
Terminator Omnibus Volume 1, a collection of the Dark Horse Terminator comics by primarily James Robinson, but then some other writers come in and tell some other stories. I loved it. This was such a fun comic book collection of these Terminator stories, and it was so nice to read Terminator material that I enjoyed, that somehow found a way to do unique Terminator stories in this universe without having to reset the timeline every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And this stuff, a lot of this stuff was coming out before Terminator 2, but it was really getting that vibe that that movie had gone for.
Okay.
So thinking that these comics were only basing what they knew off the first movie, this was good.
Wow.
This was good stuff. there was one issue that was just a Terminator fighting another Terminator, like in a small town, and they demolished it in their fight. It was so fun. The art was usually pretty good. It was so over the top. Explosions the entire time. This was great. This was a great Terminator read.
Nice.
So
okay.
Something I finished recently.
So it restored your faith in the Terminator franchise. That's good. Kendra, I mean, you're our guest, and you're the only one who has had unfettered reading time. So what of that unfettered reading time did you devote to non-Twilight materials in the last couple of weeks?
Not much. I will say that.
Okay.
It was mostly Twilight, and mostly because it was due.
Yes.
Like on Libby, and
sure.
so I had to read it in like 2 days. So I had to read like that very fast.
Ebook, not audiobook?
Yes, this was ebook on Libby.
Did you just read something else? Oh no, you did a book club for Neverwhere.
Yes, I did a book club for Neverwhere, and I have been slowly making my way through How to Be an Anti-Racist.
Oh, okay.
Which is very good.
Okay.
Should be required reading for every person on the planet.
Okay.
So, very much enjoying that. We also just watched a movie called American Animals.
Okay.
Which it's on HBO Max, but it's like part documentary, part movie.
Okay.
Based on a true story about these 4 guys who decided to steal these very rare books from their college library.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Mm-hmm. It was a Movie Pass movie, which made us laugh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Movie Pass. It was like that John Travolta film.
They had what John Travolta film?
There was that John Travolta film, like Gaudier or whatever.
Oh, Gotti, like John Gotti.
Gotti. Yeah. And people hated it, and they're like, you shouldn't hate it. We're Movie Pass, we're trying. But like this movie was actually good, but I think the movie had already been made, and Movie Pass bought like the distribution rights.
Okay, all right.
But now there is no Movie Pass, and now it's on HBO Max.
It's gone. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what a weird transition, but I watched a John Travolta movie over the weekend. Not Gotti.
John Travolta wasn't in our movie.
No, I know, but he was in Gotti. But I watched one called The Poison Rose, which came out in 2019. It's based on the book based on the book by Richard Salvatore, and it's kind of an old-style, slow burn detective story where Travolta plays kind of a washed-up PI from L.A. who gets a case in Galveston, Texas, which is like his hometown. All his old friends are in these new positions of authority, so like kind of the loser from high school is the sheriff. Morgan Freeman was an old bookie, and now he's kind of this huge center for gambling and kind of runs the whole place, like with his power. The weirdest part of this was that Brendan Fraser plays this doctor at this mental institution, and he was like almost unrecognizable. You cannot accuse Brendan Fraser of phoning it in on this performance. He was just insane to watch. It was kind of like when you watched Venom, and everything Tom Hardy did, you were like, but why would you say it that way? Why would you do that? That's what this movie was.
Oh, that is how I felt that.
I'm sorry. Do you want to get a pizza?
Exactly.
No, Venom.
Exactly. But no, it's Famke Janssen plays Travolta's high school sweetheart.
Famke Janssen as well?
Yes. And I put it on, and my wife was like, this is literally the last thing I want to watch. It's set in the 70s with John Travolta doing a fake Southern accent, and it's a weird detective story. But by the end, she was like, you know what? That kind of won me over. So it was...
it doesn't always work that way when
I know.
you make us watch movies.
I know that. I know that's true. It was a real risk I took. But no, it was good. It was fun. I kind of want to read the book now.
Nice.
I also watched the
So not a timeline situation.
No, it wasn't a timeline situation where I refused
because now your friend's situation enjoyed the movie and you still want to read the book.
I still want to read the book.
Which was the complete opposite of timeline for you.
I also
go back and listen to our books read in one sitting.
Yeah, one sitting. Yes, yep. I watched the 2019 live-action Lady and the Tramp on Disney Plus over the weekend. My son was wanting to watch a movie, and so we picked that one, which was really kind of under the radar for me. I didn't even realize that it came out, I guess because it went straight to Disney Plus. But, you know,
before the quarantine and everything, too. It was supposed to be Disney Plus.
So I never particularly cared about the animated Lady and the Tramp, though my wife loved it. But we were pleasantly surprised by this movie. It's pretty well done.
How are the racial stereotypes in the live action?
They got rid of the Siamese cat song and replaced it with the song that worked really well. So a lot of those things that are problematic about the old one, I felt like they did a really nice job of fixing for this one. Mm-hmm. But Tessa Thompson was Lady and Justin Theroux was the Tramp. Ken Jeong had a fun little role in it. Yvette Nicole Brown also in it, so kind of a community reunion there. I think it's worth a watch. It's a good time. F. Murray Abraham has a fun little cameo as the guy who sets up the spaghetti plate for them and sings the "This is the night." So, what a weird bookmark we just did, but there we go. We've done it.
Actually, I've been showing Kendra the Christopher Guest.
Oh, okay.
Documentary films.
Mighty Wind and all that.
Yeah, so we watched The Mighty Wind, and we just watched Waiting for Guffman.
I've never seen them either. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That really surprises me, Nick. I think you'd really like them.
I showed her A Mighty Wind first because it's probably my favorite of the ones, but then we went back and watched Waiting for Guffman, and then we still got Best in Show to watch.
Nice. Okay.
Only those three?
It's those three in those like era, and then like they did later stuff with Mascots and For Your Consideration.
Nick, do you think Parker Posey and Elizabeth Banks could be twin sisters?
I think if you stood them next to each other, I wouldn't confuse them. But I think that their vibe is very similar. Like, my wife and I just recently watched The Hunger Games, and that could have been Parker Posey.
Look, I want you to type in both their names into Google and look at their pictures side
No,
by
I
side.
get it. I totally get it. I think that they're...
It's crazy.
I think they're very similar in, like, the energy they put out and everything. I see why one would confuse the two. I take it this is a marital dispute that you're trying to air on the All the Book show.
Well, no, just we were watching A Mighty Wind, and I was like, oh, wow, Elizabeth Banks is so young. And Eric was like, that's Parker Posey. And I was like, oh, wow.
You know what, Kendra? No one will believe you anyway.
Wow. What a healthy relationship.
Like
in Twilight. Okay.
Yeah, like in Twilight.
All right, let's you want to get into some book news or you got more?
Yeah, let's get into book news.
All right.
Looking to the future to see what it proves. It's time for book news.
I want to mention, so I've been seeing this pop up in a few places. The article I'm pulling from right now is from Book Browse, but there are some legit issues in the publishing world right now because so many releases that were meant to be in March were put aside because of the pandemic. And so September, which is normally like the biggest production time of the year, all of these books from March are still sort of stacking up and waiting. So you've got the books that were supposed to come out in March, plus all the books that were already meant to come out in September is causing, first of all, it's like a crowded market, but also they physically can't print all of the books that are meant to come out. So a lot of things, including new books, including, reprints or paperback versions of books by big authors, even like Alexander McCall Smith or Joe Nesbo, are all being pushed back because they're trying to meet this demand because everything's been so on hold for such a long time. Right. So I thought that was kind of an interesting
I was talking
side effect there
to some librarians who were saying they didn't even order stuff when they were closed.
It kind of surprises me that they hold off on things because you can still get ebooks and you can get things mailed to you and stuff. So I guess I didn't think about books being pushed back.
Well, even on Amazon, people are going to want to order the physical stuff.
Well, let me just say that Midnight Sun did not suffer because of the pandemic.
No, it certainly didn't. So. It certainly didn't. We never stopped ordering. Our ordering continued in full force the whole time. A lot of things were delayed because either our Brodart, who does a lot of our we do a lot of ordering through Brodart. They were shut down, so it was difficult to get things. So there are all sorts of delays. But now, with September being prime time anyway, it's just really causing a backup. So that's problematic. So we'll see how that plays out over the next several months. In book awards, I want to mention that Marilyn Chin won the Ruth Lilly Poetry Prize. Again, this is from bookbrowse.com. The Poetry Foundation has announced Marilyn Chin is the winner of the 2020 Ruth Lilly Poetry Prize. The award honors a living poet with $100,000 in recognition of their outstanding lifetime achievement. It's one of the most prestigious awards given to American poets and one of the nation's largest literary prizes. So congratulations to Marilyn Chin for her lifetime achievement there.
Nice.
Shall we see what's on the bestseller list for this week?
That James Patterson first case book down to 12.
Whoa.
4 weeks. It is not doing good at James Patterson business.
I guess not.
Number 9, Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng, an artist that bends a quiet town outside Cleveland. Number 8, this is back on the list now, American Dirt by Janine Cummings. bookseller flees Mexico from the United States with her son.
Interesting.
All pursued by the head of the drug cartel.
Okay.
So 31 weeks there. 28 Summers is at number 7 with by Ellie and Hildebrand. It's the story about the people that were in a relationship, but they didn't.
I'm sorry, did you say Alien Hildebrand?
No, I said Ellen Hildebrand. What did I say?
I think you said Ellen.
I don't think so. I'm going to play back the tape.
With by Ellie and Hildebrand.
You may proceed.
Number 6, Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. 10 years after her daughter disappears, a woman tries to get her life in order, but remains haunted by unanswered questions, such as, where's her daughter?
Where is she?
Number 5, The Guest List by Lucy Foley. A wedding between TV star and magazine publisher on an island off the coast of Ireland turns deadly. Nick, we can grill Kendra right now. She has this right next to her.
It's on my nightstand. It has been for a bit.
You took this from your cousin.
I know.
And you
no, from my
it.
aunt, yeah.
Was your aunt aware, or was this a thief situation?
No, she knows.
She knows. Okay, she knows.
Yeah.
She knows.
Does she know that you're not reading it?
I'm going to read. I had to read Midnight Sun. Okay.
This is like couples counseling here.
Yeah.
I'm getting worried.
I guess I'm just going to have
Twilight.
to go off to Italy.
No.
Don't go to Italy.
I'm going to Italy.
Eric, don't.
No. Earlier today, Kendra got a paper cut, and
I didn't come here for this Twilight bashing.
Wow. Okay.
Number 4, Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. The lives of twin sisters who run away from a southern black community at age 16 diverge as one returns and the other takes on a different racial identity. But their fates intertwine. I don't think my fate has ever intertwined, really.
Really?
With anyone. Yeah.
No one. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not me?
Well, would you say our fates have intertwined?
Sure.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess so then. Never mind.
Wow.
I guess I just...
And they say romance is dead.
Fate brought you and Nick together. You auditioned for a play that he happened to be directing.
That's true.
I guess since everybody dies alone anyway, I just...
No, I'm going to be there.
Really intertwine your fate.
I'm going to be there holding your hand.
Number 3, The Jackal by J.R. Ward.
Nice.
Not the jackal that you were hoping for, Nick. I don't think.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, not Val Kilmer. In the Black Dagger Brotherhood world, Nyx, not Nick, Nyx, N-Y-X.
Oh, ooh,
searches for
sexy.
Searches for her sister in a lost prison camp and meets a man known as the Jackal.
She should not be distracted by romance while she's looking for her sister in a prison camp, I think.
I know,
We don't know if it's romance.
You don't think it's romance in a J.R. Ward novel? Come on.
Look at that. Look at his blue eyes.
Yeah.
The shiny blue eyes.
You're right.
They
He's
never
sexy.
quit. They don't quit.
Oh, you X'd out of it.
I did. Hold on.
Well, I could say what number 2 was.
What is it?
It was Where the Crawdads Sing.
Oh, down
Quiet
the
Town
week.
on the North Carolina coast in 1969. A young woman who survived alone in the marsh because of the murder suspect.
Oh, no.
I can defend this book from your constant bashing of it.
Go ahead.
It's great.
Okay.
Like, in my top books of all time.
I don't feel that I've ever bashed it, but okay.
Hey.
Yeah.
Ask me the most important question. What do I read?
It's another Twilight.
It's another Twilight.
Wow, you're really into this Twilight stuff, Eric.
Okay, we'll get into it in a second.
Number 1, Royale. No, it's just Royal.
Ooh.
Number 1, Royal by Danielle Steele. In 1943, the 17-year-old Princess Charlotte assumes a new identity in the country and falls in love.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Kendra, I don't know if you've heard our episode on what was going down the year we went to kindergarten, but both of our bestsellers for the year we were in kindergarten each had a Danielle Steele in it. So this woman, like one of the vampires from Twilight, just keeps resurfacing.
Immortal. If you were an immortal, that would be a good use of your time.
If I was an immortal, I'd go to high school every year. That's what I'd do.
I collect a Danielle Steele book every year because I matriculate a lot.
Yeah. Yep. It happens.
He's really been harping on that matriculate line.
Yeah. It's a good one.
All right.
Danielle Steele at number 1.
Danielle Steele's at number 1.
Classic.
Royale.
Classic.
No, just Royal.
Royal.
All right.
Royal.
Eric.
We'll never be royals.
Great. Now we owe them money.
Oh, no.
I think technically...
Quick, turn it into a parody.
I think if we review the song, it's okay. Eric, quickly review the song. Hurry.
That song's pretty good.
Okay, great.
What parody did we make up yesterday? about cleaning. Man,
Scrub? I don't want no scrub.
I don't want. Yeah, we were like, I don't want to scrub.
I didn't really go with this. She thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
I was like, that's
lame.
a parody ready to be written.
If Weird Al is listening, maybe he'll pick that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he is.
Would it go well on the accordion?
Sure.
All right. Well, today's topic, I think, came about in a fun way where we just get a frantic text from Kendra being like, hey, everybody, I read Midnight Sun if you want to talk about it on the podcast. So, I mean, how can we pass up that?
Here I am.
How can we pass up that kind of expertise?
Yeah.
All the Books presents Author Spotlight.
Today we're joined by Kendra Mikols, host of the Radio Meanwhile podcast 9021 Here We Go, and self-proclaimed Twihard to discuss all things Stephenie Meyer. Though best known for her popular and often imitated Twilight series, Meyer's also the author of 2 adult books, The Chemist and the 2008 novel The Host, which was adapted into a film produced by Meyer. Would you say that The Host is an adult novel?
I would not.
I would not. That's what it's always listed as, but I don't think so.
No. What? It is? It's not.
It is. Oh, I know. Yeah. It's bizarre.
It's definitely why.
I haven't read The Chemist.
I haven't read The Chemist either.
Yeah, nobody has.
Yeah, hence Midnight Sun.
Yeah, seriously. All right, so let's do this. Let's go back to our earliest memories of Stephenie Meyer or the Twilight Saga, how it all came about.
I'm glad I've been finally given this soapbox.
I'm worried
to talk
about
this.
I'm worried about Eric's attitude.
My first experience with Twilight. No, go ahead, Kendra. Nobody cares. I've never read it.
Well, I'll tell you mine, all right? It's not volatile. It's just a cold detachment. When these came out...
Much like a vampire.
Yes. When these came out, I was working at an academic library, and everybody wanted them. You know, everybody wanted them everywhere, and I was like, we have to have these books. We have to have these books, but there wasn't any interest in getting them. But we had this little leisure reading collection, so I was able to get them for our leisure reading collection at the college library. And that was the first, because everybody was talking about them, and I knew people wanted them, so I got them for that collection. I didn't actually participate in any Twilighting myself until my wife and I watched the first movie.
In college, like my very first year of college, somebody was reading it, and I didn't know anything about it, and they were like, "Oh, you should read it. It's actually pretty good. It's about vampires." And I was kind of like, "Oh, okay."
You've been down this road before with that. What was it, Sherilyn Kenyon novel that you read?
But then they started to be like, "It's a romance book." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm not super into that then." And then as more stuff started to come out, I was like, oh, okay, I'm not into it. And then the first time I ever watched the movie was a Riff Tracks related, so. And that's it. I've only seen the 3 movies with Riff Tracks, but I bought the first 2 movies on DVD so I could watch the Riff Tracks on a regular basis.
They're great.
So funny.
But
yes,
aren't there 4 movies?
There's 5 movies.
5. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But
true?
I thought the third movie wasn't as funny with the Riff Tracks.
Oh yeah, you're right. All right, so that's you. What about you, Kendra?
I was in high school when it came out, because
Right,
it came out
that's
in
right.
2005, I believe.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was a freshman, and my friends were reading
She was merely freshman.
That's funny.
My friends were reading it, and they were just like, I just have a memory of them sitting in the hall and just like poring over this book.
Nick.
And I was like, what is this? And they were like, you have to read it. And I'm pretty sure one of my friends let me borrow her copy, and I just devoured it.
Wow.
Nick, Brando, Sando, and Elton have given us the ability to go back in time to see Kendra experience Twilight for the first time. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Kendra, you have to read Twilight for the first time.
I don't even know what it is. What is it?
No, Kendra, it's vampires, right?
Well, I don't have a copy of the book.
No, hold on. Here's one.
I am going to literally devour this.
Great. Hey, who are those 2 handsome guys that look like they've time traveled here?
Oh, Eric, they've spotted us. We have to get out of here.
Run, Nick!
Wow. I just want to go on record and say that's not what my voice sounded like in high school.
Well, that was actual audio, so I don't see how you
literally went back in time.
deny. We heard that happen with our own ears, so.
And then I
How were
kept
you allowed?
I wanted to know that too. How were you
Was I allowed to read it?
It seems like that would not be.
I would have to ask my parents, but I honestly don't know that they knew like what it was.
Kendra on her podcast, Nostalgia Me This, it was like notorious that they were like constantly not allowed to watch or do things that everyone else was doing. Yeah. Like Kendra got her brother in trouble when he was watching Jurassic Park. So you weren't allowed to watch Smallville because of the Amy Adams episode.
Yeah, but I was in like 5th grade.
So
I mean, that Amy Adams episode is pretty scary.
It is. It is.
So I'm just.
So I kept up with it as they came out, and then I remember the 4th book. I was living because my family's military, so we were living in Okinawa.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm not going to get this book on the day it comes out because they're not going to have it. And I kept like going to the store. I think we went to the store on the wrong day looking for it. But they did. They had so many copies. So I was able to get my copy the day it came out, even though I was living on a military base in Okinawa. And so it's all through high school. I read the book.
Kendra was studying for Japanese, so she just get a copy on the island.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll get it in a different language if I have to.
That would be pretty impressive. I would be very impressive if that were the case.
Yeah, and then, I think I saw all the movies in theaters. What year did the first movie?
2008.
Yes. And I saw that one in theaters. I have a memory of the second movie specifically. My cousin and I waited in such a long line to get in the theater. Like, we got our tickets, and then we had to stand outside and wait. And then the doors opened, and everyone just booked it.
Wow.
And I was like, we've been standing here and people are running in front. I was so mad. When I saw the first one, it was in Okinawa with my friends. And when that first time Edward walks on screen, the entire theater lost their minds.
Really?
Yes. They were like, whoa! And which I thought was dumb, but yeah.
Didn't they also cheer every time Jacob took off his shirt?
I think they cheered anytime Edward did anything. And probably Jacob, yes.
Sure. The first time I saw the movie, I was pretty unaware of it, other than, I knew it was a phenomenon. You know, I knew it was a thing that everybody liked. And we watched the movie, and my wife and I both really liked it. And we also kind of thought, you're going to laugh at this, but we also kind of thought that it was supposed to be a little tongue-in-cheek. Like they knew that it was kind of corny in a fun way. And no. I know. And then we watched the second movie and we were like, oh, no, they are very much not in on the joke. We thought they were, but they are not. So, but I think that we watched the rest of them usually at the drive-in theater. I think we saw most of them that way. But I did watch all the movies and I had a good time. Let's talk about, have you read any of her non-Twilight stuff? How about that?
I read The Host.
Okay.
Which I loved, actually, when I read it. Yes.
I saw the movie of The Host, and before that, I had the book, but I just couldn't get into it. I didn't really even realize that it was the same author as Twilight or anything, but I couldn't really get into it. So there's that, and then there's the Chemist, right? Is that what it's called? The Chemist,
yes.
Yeah. But The Chemist really was meant to be like an adult action thriller, and there was talk of a television series, but I don't really know whatever came of that. But
I remember that.
Yeah. So talk to me a little about the books. What is it that sucks you into these books so much? What do you think they do well?
Well, when I really get down to it.
Here we go.
You haven't read a single book. It's like a classic plot where you have this guy and he's dangerous and you shouldn't love him and he shouldn't love you, but you do anyway. And it's just, I don't know. And it's not the writing in the first books because it's, I don't know. Even as I was reading it in high school, I was like, man, this is not great writing. Mm-hmm. But the story is it just sucks you in. And then as you go through and then you add Jacob into it and then there's this love triangle. And
does the book make a more of a compelling triangle? Because I feel like in the movies, the idea of her choosing Jacob is nonsensical. Like, it's clear that would never ever happen. But does the book...
I remember it being, I haven't read the books in a while, but I remember it being a big thing.
There was a time when you genuinely didn't know which way she was going to go. Okay.
Yes. All
right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've always and forever been Team Edward. I don't think I was ever swayed to Team Jacob.
I see.
But yeah, so they're just it's just a good story, and there's a lot of good characters, and she goes into, stuff with the other characters and how they became vampires. And there's a lot of stuff with Jacob's tribe and the other werewolves that she gets into as well. Okay. So
it sounds like she really puts in the time and energy into making the mythology of both the vampire characters and the werewolf tribe to be, full and complete and give you a lot of like history on that, which, that sounds like a cool element that's not really that present in the movies, maybe a little later, but overall, I don't really think they get into that too much.
It's just a great story.
Now, I haven't read the books. In preparation for this episode, I read The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner, which is the little novella that spins out of Eclipse. I was pretty intrigued by that. I thought the writing was decent, and I liked the vampire story because it was all set within the vampire world. There was none of this, there was no like, what are the humans up to? It was just this little clique of like new vampires trying to like deal with their lives. I enjoyed that. I thought it was decent. I also read the graphic novel. It's 2 volumes of the first book. And it's a weird... Have you ever seen these? Have you looked at these at all?
It's kind of like manga-y.
It's definitely manga-inspired. It's got a weird use of color in it that I couldn't quite pin down. Like, some things are full color, but 90% of it is black and white, and I couldn't really find the rhyme or reason to that. My question for you here is, what do you think about the criticisms the books get about, glorifying what is perceived as almost... I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? The relationship between Edward and Bella, I think especially early on, kind of glorifies like the idea of you're going to feel bad in this relationship. And like his whole thing, at least in the graphic novel, I don't know about the book, he does so much of like, I want to be with you, but I know I'll hurt you and I don't want to hurt you. And her attitude is kind of like, no, go ahead. I just want to be with you. I don't care what the strings are. And I know that there's been a lot of criticism tossed towards that. What do you think as someone who's read them all?
I don't know. Their relationship has never bothered me like that. I always have just seen it as like they're in love and he is this like powerful person who could hurt her. And so that is his fear. And she understands the risk, but still wants to be with him anyway. And
So you're saying that it's not so much that she's choosing someone who will hurt her, but that she's making an informed decision, trusting that she knows him well enough to know that he won't hurt her.
Yeah, I find that romantic. I've never, like, anytime I read it, and I just watched all the movies too, I've never seen it as like this abusive or wrong thing. But I understand how people could spin it that way.
Yeah, I don't think, like, from what I've heard, and just from what I know of the story, I don't think it's so much that it's like an abusive relationship, but I think the concern might be teenagers in an abusive relationship might see parallels in that would kind of give them
I understand that. Yeah. And I understand how you could, make a very, very strong case, and Robert Pattinson would agree that Bella should not be with Edward in any way, shape, or form. So, but what helped with all this, I think, is Midnight Sun.
Actually, I wanted to ask you about that because I kind of wondered, because I felt like just in reading the graphic novel, you got a little more of like what's going on in Edward's head than you do in the movies. And I wondered if seeing everything from his angle would have cleared that up. So talk a little bit about that.
I think it does, because you see, from his perspective, you see like his struggle and how much like he hated her when he first sees her, and then he leaves, and then he decides to come back, and you just get his whole internal struggle with realizing that he has feelings for her, but he so desperately does not want to hurt her, and knows that, he shouldn't pursue it. Mm-hmm. But he's finding it hard not to. So I think she does a really good job of writing it from his perspective and filling in those mental gaps. Now,
have you read Life and Death?
I have not. And I don't really have any interest in reading it.
So Life and Death came out in, what was it, 2015, Eric? Was that when it was? It was like a 10-year anniversary thing.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And it's just, okay, so Midnight Sun is the same story, but just from Edward's perspective, right?
Yes.
But whereas Life and Death is if Edward...
It's gender swapped,
right.
Yeah.
So, like...
Yep.
Okay, that's confusing.
It's like Bo.
So the girl is the vampire, and the boy is the human. I really don't know anything about it other than that, because I just was like, I'm not.
I'll say when that came out, we got it, and it seemed like there was interest, but it didn't really translate to checkouts.
Well,
it seemed like it came out and people thought it was like interesting, but not enough to commit. It didn't get them back into Twilight like Midnight Sun has been doing.
I remember at the time you were really frustrated by this because you could not just buy Life and Death.
Yeah, you got it with the copy of the first book again.
Yeah,
but every library already has like 8 copies of Twilight.
So you had to re-buy Twilight to get it, and so I don't think it was quite. I mean, first of all, it looked huge, so I think that was kind of a turnoff, because it was like such a tome, being stuck in with the other book. But yeah, that one seemed to me kind of a flop. So I was kind of surprised when she did. When she decided she was going to do Midnight Sun. And I remember there was talk of doing that, but then when the perspective swap in 50 Shades of Grey came out, just called Grey, that kind of put Midnight Sun on hold because she didn't want to just like do that same thing. So I think this book's actually been kind of sitting on a shelf for quite a while.
Yeah, I think it's been in the works for a while. And when it was first announced, I was like, man, what a cash grab. That's so stupid. I'm not going to read that. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to read it. And it felt like reading the first book for the first time.
Excitement-wise, you mean?
Yes. And I like, as I was reading it, I was like, oh man, I'm actually like really into this. And I think I liked it almost more because I don't know if it's just, well, number one, it's better written than the first one.
Well, that makes sense because it's 20 years later practically.
Yes. And I think that just Edward's voice is more fun to read. It's better to read than Bella's voice because Bella can get kind of annoying in the books and in the movies, but
she tends to lack agency, it seems to me. She's kind of
so I liked reading it from Edward's voice.
Okay.
So it's better written, and there's also like there's a good amount of new information. Like there's a lot more with him and Rosalie, more stories between the two of them, and more just like, seeing where he was when he left for a while. And there's a lot of background that you learn.
Okay.
And a lot of stuff about Alice that you learn as well. So I thought there was enough and good information, but it really did set me on this like Twilight high, this Twi high. Twi high?
I like it.
Sure. Yeah. That sounds right. And I rewatched all the movies, and it's been weird. It's been a weird week. I wasn't anticipating this response
it sounds
in myself.
Like it.
But yeah.
I've been in the eye of the storm of all of us.
I know you have. Yeah.
You know what? It's not that bad. She just likes Twilight.
Yeah.
I don't like Twilight.
And a word on the movies, I'm going to say they're good. I think you have to be a Twilight fan to really like them. But honestly, as movies, they're really not bad movies. And the first one, I think the worst part of the first one is Kristen Stewart's crazy acting decisions when it came to Bella, which she fixes.
I like them.
You like how stuttery?
I do.
Like,
I think she pulls it off. Yeah.
I think it's one of the worst films. Period. I think New Moon's worse.
Really?
What? Well, worse?
There's
no way it's worse.
I think they're garbage films, but that's all I'm going to say now.
I give the actors so much credit for saying all those lines, because I feel like when you read the book, it's like, oh, this is romantic and this sounds good. But then when you get Robert Pattinson trying to say, you're my own personal brand of heroin, like, it just sounds stupid. So I don't know. I give them credit for all the stuff they had to say and the way that they did it. So I don't know. I just rewatched all 5 of them in a week, and that's my hot take on the movies, that they're really not as bad as their reputation would lead them to be. Though the CGI baby in the last one is ridiculous.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
I will never ever understand why they did that.
Yeah.
I wish they would go back and fix it, like with the technology we have today.
Yeah.
I wish they would fix it and come out with a new version of it, because it's awful.
It is terrible. No, the movies, I had a good time watching the movies as just like big, exciting, almost like popcorn kind of movies, where you're just like sitting back having a good time. The riff tracks, which Eric mentioned earlier, if you're not familiar with riff tracks, it's the same concept behind a Mystery Science Theater where you're just playing a commentary track of people just kind of poking fun at the movie and like adding jokes in. And I don't know if there's a better example of riff tracks than watching the first Twilight movie with the riff tracks. It's
so funny.
You just can't even get through it. It's so funny.
I was watching, because you can look it up on YouTube, like the highlights, the best jokes from it, and I was rolling on the floor laughing. Yeah. It's so funny.
They are so funny. You're right about that.
So highly recommend that.
Yeah, I agree. I read an article with her saying she had ideas for 2 more books set in this world and had already actually begun writing some, but had hoped to get some non-Twilight stuff out there before that. So I assume you're on board for whatever she has cooking up?
Probably.
Okay. All right.
If it's in the Twilight universe, probably. I mean, I thought I wouldn't read this one, and I did. So.
Would you be more down for her continuing the stories from Edward's perspective, or would you like things in the future? Would you like prequel? What's your ideal situation for Stephenie Meyer to continue the Twilight series?
I think when she said 2 more books, she wasn't talking about from Edward's perspective, but if she redid the whole series from Edward's perspective, I would read that for sure. But I don't know. I'd like to see like where they are now and what's going on with their daughter and her stupid name.
Renesmee. I'm trying to think of other examples where they've done this like alternate perspective thing. The only one that comes to mind is the Divergent series, right, Eric? Isn't there an alternate
4?
Yeah, 4.
Yeah.
And that's just like the first movie, or is it the whole series from Ford's perspective?
I don't know.
But that's not been a big thing in the YA market overall, do you think?
I had no idea they did that.
Yeah, I feel like that's about the only one.
I can't think of other examples.
I don't know. You can cut this out if you want or not. I feel like it's slightly regressive because the big point was that we were getting a lot of like strong female characters, and they're like, but just in case, here's the point of view from the strong male character now.
That's a good point.
And maybe it's better because you focus on the strong female characters first, and so now like the male characters aren't really the lead even in their perspective,
right?
And so they're seen more as followers, which I guess you can't do if you're doing like a protagonist. You want them to take the lead, so maybe that changes on a bit. But it also just kind of seemed like, I don't know. Well, what was the point then of staking all this claim in land if we were just gonna do it again? You know?
I get that, but I think Midnight Sun, like, it shows how high he holds Bella.
Look, you don't have to convince me that the vampire is going to be more interesting than the teenage girl in high school upset that she's moved from Arizona to Seattle. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Now she's from one boring place to another. It's just, so yes, of course the vampire is more interesting.
But he can't read her thoughts. That's like the whole thing. So I'm just saying, like, he is like pursuing her. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm surprised.
The other thing about the movies is that there's like so many good people. Like Bryce Dallas Howard is in the third one.
Yeah.
Rami Malek is in the last one, and Lee Pace is
Michael
in the
Sheen,
last
Dakota
one.
Fanning. It's a good cast.
Michael Sheen, Wendell Pierce is in the last one.
Really? Wow.
People kept popping up, and in just a very small role.
Yeah.
But I was like,
Anna Kendrick.
I didn't know who
Anna
any
Kendrick,
of these people
It's
were.
crazy to remind yourself that Anna Kendrick is in Twilight.
And her other friend, who's not Anna Kendrick, her other human friend, she is like a major character in The Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
She's in like every episode of The Walking Dead.
Well, to tie it into 90210, to your earlier question, Peter Facinelli, who plays, what is his name? The dad figure. Carlisle. Was married to Jenny Garth. Married to Jenny Garth, who played Kelly Taylor in 90210. For the whole time, they're recently divorced, but yeah.
Well, they were filming those movies?
Yeah. Yeah,
so, wow, I didn't know that.
If you go back and look, like Jenny Garth is on the red carpet for all the movies and everything. Like she's there with Peter Facinelli. And,
Oh, man, they should put her in one.
So there you go.
They should have put Kelly from 90210 into Twilight.
Yeah, they could have easily made her a vampire in the last one.
I'd take her. I would take her as Bella's mom over the lady from 24.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm sorry you didn't get.
I just think she would have made like a good vampire. I think.
Yeah.
Like She's got the
no one
look.
is no one is paler on this planet than,
than Kelly.
Jenny Garth.
Yeah. Than Jenny Garth.
All right. So now, does your love of Stephanie Meyer, like, are you a fan of Twilight, or do you think you're a fan of the author? Like, do you
love the host? Like,
you love the
I
host?
I did not love the movie.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody
the movie
did.
was bad.
I took her to we went together to go see the host. Were you dating or married? We were in Florida, right?
Yes.
Or were we not? I don't know
know
where it was, but yeah.
What year did it come out?
I don't know, because Radioactive by Imagine Dragons is the end credits song.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Saoirse Ronan. But you were like so excited. I remember that.
2013.
You were. So we were married.
So we were
you were
married.
very excited, and you were like, "Oh, the book was so good." And when we left, you were disappointed.
I was, yeah, because the movie was bad. I would say this, that Stephanie Meyer, I think her writing is definitely improved as Midnight Sun shows. So, but I think I'm a fan of the stories that she comes up with.
Okay.
And I am definitely a fan of what she did in Twilight, the story, and how everything weaves together and connects by the end of it. I think she created a great story that she dreamed up, apparently.
Oh.
That's like the whole thing. She woke up from a dream, and she had dreamed about Twilight, and then she sat down and wrote the book.
Well, I read that she based a lot of like the archetypes on things like Jane Eyre and other Victorian novels, which I guess you can see like if you're really looking for them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
they're reading Wuthering Heights in the first one, I think.
Yeah.
That
makes sense. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any plans to read The Chemist?
I would think about it. I mean, I have a long list of.
All right. Not a firm commitment, but Kendra would give it some serious thought.
To read right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I would definitely think about it.
So you're on the hook for more Twilight if she writes it.
Yes.
But non-Twilight stuff coming out wouldn't maybe jump to the top of your list. Just
Correct.
would pique your interest. Okay.
Correct.
All right, Eric, any final thoughts on Twilight before we move on? What's your favorite of the Twilight riff tracks?
Gosh, probably just the first one is like the most focused one, because
true.
New Moon is a hard movie for me to watch in general, even with the riff tracks. But that has some really good stuff.
You just can't get past all the screaming that she does. I think that throws you off the whole movie.
It doesn't throw me off the movie, but it encompasses what I hate about that whole thing. I do find the relationship to be like incredibly toxic, and I don't get the appeal. But you know what? I'm not the audience, and I never have been, and I never will be. And she sold 1 million copies in a week. She doesn't need me to like Twilight. Stephanie Meyer, she's fine as she could just write
copies in a week.
I know.
You're right. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I also think it does.
$25, right? A hardcover?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So $25 million in a week is what Stephanie Meyer just made.
It's pretty
because
good.
she was like, that book I wrote, I'm going to write it again.
Yeah.
$25 million.
I get that you're not the target audience for that, but I do think you make a good point, and I think it's inescapable that there is some problematic messaging if you're not coming to it from like a grown person, like a mature perspective. And that's not the audience for this. I mean, it's YA. The audience is young people. So I could see how, it does pull towards some problematic things there. So I think it's worth still having that be part of the discussion.
I think pop culture, and I'm partly to blame in this, and that we saw Twilight and their sparkly vampires, and we were like, those are real vampires. You want to see real vampires? You should watch that. Like, as if that was the point.
Right.
As if Stephanie Meyer was banking her success on doing like realistic vampires. But we just saw like this love story we saw it as like this teeny bopper take on vampires, and we got so angry about it because I just remember like 30 Days of Night and Daybreakers came out. We're like, finally, real vampires again at the movies. As if we also didn't have like 30, 40, 50, hundreds of years of vampire stories to appease us. We got so protective over and I don't know. Kendra, as a representative of the geek community, I would like to formally apologize.
Oh, I didn't know where he was going with that.
Me neither.
No,
this is a healing moment. I want to talk about the sparkle. Can we talk about the sparkle for a minute?
Let's do it.
That is a weird choice. What's your feelings about the fact that
it's done?
No, I know, but I know, but I just want to know, like, what did you think of the
book,
sparkle? Yeah.
In the book, the first time she sees him in the sunlight, she thinks that he is like on fire.
Okay.
So in the movie, I don't think it's a good representation.
He looks like Emma
how
Frost
she
from
just
First Class.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he could kind of pass it off as just like I'm sweaty in the movies, whereas in the book,
This
it's
whole
like
concept is sweaty.
it's like he's like I said, she's afraid that he's on fire at first, and he's like, no. This is just my skin.
Yeah, it is. It's weird that it would make the transition to the movie and they wouldn't like really go all out, because it really just looks like he's wearing body glitter. Like it looks like he just walked out of an Abercrombie and Finch ad and just like,
Yeah.
So I think that's bizarre. But
it's something from the movies that I think they could have done better.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well.
Why can't he read her thoughts?
That's like her thing, because then she's turned into a vampire and. Like no one's powers affect her.
Ugh.
Oh.
She's like, and then she uses her power to like shield others from people. So.
You know what you should really do though? You should watch the Blade films. That's like real vampire stuff, but it's in a more realistic way.
And Eric, you like all three of the Blade films equally, correct?
Oh, incorrect.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Blade Trinity is my Twilight of Blade films.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Which has Parker Posey in it, though.
There you go.
She's terrible in it.
Not Elizabeth
Everything's
Banks,
terrible
Parker
in it.
Posey.
I think
All right.
Triple H is in it.
The wrestler?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's all terrible. It's terrible.
All right, Kendra, thank you for sharing your Twilight knowledge, your Twilight
not done.
experience
I think-
with us.
You watched all the movies.
Yeah.
You read the book.
Finished
but
the last one today.
But you're still on the high. Midnight
I am.
Sun
I don't know what I'm going to do with my life now that I finished all the movies.
Yeah.
So like, you know, we at first, like, when we found out it had sold 1 million copies, we're like, this is exactly what like people need right now, and I wasn't gonna make fun of it, but like, I'm living with somebody who's now like, that book has done its job, and like,
she's like a sleeper. She's like a sleeper agent that's been reactivated. Basically,
yeah,
is
she's
what's
like a
happened.
Cylon here.
Yeah.
It's surprising me more than I can
So
say.
as her husband, I just don't know how to help her in this situation, because like the
People
only
are
other
calling
option,
it a Twilight Renaissance.
Yeah.
Well, Kendra, you can
so-
read Short Second Life of Brie Tanner.
Sure.
If
Though
you
that's
want,
sad.
you can read Life and Death.
You know, I mean, you know how it is.
she had, yeah.
You can
I
read
tried
the
to
graphic
convince her.
novels.
Yeah.
So you still have
I could
avenues.
just reread Midnight Sun.
Yeah.
She has been threatening to do that because she read it digitally, so we could buy her the physical copy. She could read it in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
And
be a
now she
different
wouldn't be
experience.
at
sure.
and then you wouldn't be on a ticking clock.
Yeah, I
trying
can
to
read it at my leisure.
before Overdrive
Yeah.
takes it back from.
Just
Yeah.
really
Libby.
let it marinate, right? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what else has been going? The memes online have been.
Oh my word, the memes.
They've been
There's
killing
so
her.
many good memes.
I almost feel like she read it for the memes. So.
Do it for the meme.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you want to listen to Kendra talk about teen angst on a weekly basis, you can find her over at 902 and Here We Go at 90210 Rewatch Podcast.
Be honest
A lot
with
of
me.
angst over there.
Yes.
Is there ever a situation where like Luke Perry becomes a vampire on that show?
Kendra's never seen the episodes.
Okay.
You can't say.
But how has there never been a Luke Perry vampire movie? I mean,
He
I
was.
guess
He was in
well, yeah, if you want to
Buffy.
count
Oh, right,
Buffy,
Buffy.
but he's not like a vampire, or maybe he is. I don't know. I've never seen it. I guess we'll have to find out.
Yeah, I don't know. Luke Perry like has that whole look. He could have
He
been a
does.
vampire.
He could pull
He
it off.
definitely.
He's like
Yeah.
a
He
proto
very,
Edward.
very easily could
Yeah.
have been.
Couldn't he be
A
with like
vampire.
Brenda and be like, "I'm a monster"?
Listen,
Oh yeah.
if in a couple years Robert Pattinson's gonna play Luke Perry in the Luke Perry like biopic, I'd be there. I'd be there for that. So, all right.
Absolutely.
Well, as far as library news goes, remember our Banned Books book club is reading 1984 by George Orwell. We're going to have a book or a Banned Books episode coming up in a few weeks, so come back and join us for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's an annual
know
thing.
that.
We do it every year.
Oh right.
Yeah.
I block it out because it makes me so angry.
I know it does.
I
know
feel
it
like
does.
I'm actually really bad to have on that podcast because I just get really aggressive and mean, and then it's the same thing every year. Maybe you should get somebody else who's
No.
like less grumpy about it all.
We need your angst.
We do. We need it.
My angst.
We need that passion. We need to harness that passion to talk about censorship, I think is the key here. So, all right. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the All the Book Show. Our thanks to our guest, Kendra Mikols. And we'll see you all next time for a special Batman-themed interview with author and screenwriter Shay Fontana. We'll see you then.
Bye.
902 and Here We Go.
You did it.